On the 20th anniversary of the North American release of Kingdom Hearts 2, here's a ranking of all worlds in the 20-year-old classic. It's a video I've always wanted to do. I did a full walkthrough for the game not too long ago, and on the 20th anniversary of the North American release, it was as good a time as any to finally do it. Various factors go into ranking Kingdom Hearts worlds. Level design and aesthetics, gameplay segments, story and characters will be at the top of the list. So I don't end up repeating myself a bunch. Most of the Disney worlds in this game are nothing special when it comes to level design, and also most have their story issues despite my love for this game. This order will naturally go from worst to best, or least favorite to favorite, however you want to put it. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy.
Let's go!
Atlantica in KH2 is for most people the most infamous world in the entire series, for its lack of traditional combat, being a music-focused world, which no doubt was a response to everyone who complained about Atlantica's controls in KH1. I wasn't one of those people. I actually rather enjoyed Atlantica in KH1, but obviously the majority opinion prevailed with how it was done in KH2. Now, I don't necessarily hate the idea of a music minigame-focused world. It's just that all the music games here suck. No challenge or fun of them whatsoever, and every time I play them I have to ask myself, is this really my favorite Kingdom Hearts game? Even with this world being last in this ranking, I still had fun with it on the level of I just love seeing those characters from The Little Mermaid, and there is charm to seeing Sora and Ariel together, and just seeing the story of The Little Mermaid in KH fashion. Doesn't make for a good world. They couldn't even have been bothered to give us a little exploration, but it had its charm at certain points. Agrabah in KH2 was notable for being the first time the series drew inspiration from a direct-to-video sequel. In this case, The Return of Jafar, as the first game used the major plot points from the original Aladdin. The world story is a pretty lackluster retelling of an already mediocre movie. Like a few other Disney worlds, this one doesn't even try to be relevant in the big picture to the main story, in either visit. It's especially bad when you compare it to Agrabah's story in the first game, and how this time you get a retelling of an already meh movie in Return of Jafar. Aesthetically, I do like the look of Agrabah in terms of the city better in this game compared to the first game, even if in the first game it had better puzzles and efficient use of space, despite it looking kinda weird. Combat-wise, the world is decent with certain gameplay segments, and a nice incorporation of fighting while flying on the magic carpet, which led to a way better Genie Jafar boss battle compared to the first game. But story-wise, this was definitely one of the times in Kingdom Hearts 2 where I had to ask myself, who the f*** wrote this script?
I demand to know who wrote this script!
Hundred Acre Woods, like all its other outings, is a minigame world in KH2. Now, I thought all the minigames were pretty annoying in KH1. This time around, they're all at least decent, with the best one being Honey Slider. That one was incredible. Had all the minigames been on that level, this world would have been truly amazing. But the story is super cute this time, with Sora trying to restore Pooh's lost memory. As a minigame world, it can only rise so high on this ranking, but I thought this was easily the Woods' best outing in any KH game.
Mother, I'm stuck.
I thought about combining Disney Castle and Timeless River into one world, because it is basically one story for the two of them, although that would be cheating based on how they're categorized separately. Cage 2 knew how to pace its adventure, with the obvious full story midpoint being in Hollow Bastion, but I've always appreciated how the mission to Disney Castle serves as a nice midpoint and change in pace from the normal Disney action in the other Disney worlds during the first visits of Cage 2. It was an effective mission to save the castle from darkness. I like the initial dark feel it has with Heartless overtaking the castle. The little escort mission with Minnie was okay. Unfortunately, the visit to the world is too short to make the world stand out in that kind of way, but it did lead to the nice visit to Timeless River and an overall okay little side mission against Maleficent.
What a hag.
The Land of Dragons is the first Disney world you're supposed to visit according to Battle Level. I think it was the perfect world to start the main Disney adventure. Nothing all that crazy as far as visuals or design, but a new world to the series with a fun dynamic and seeing a summon from KH1 in his homeworld in the case of Mushu.
Yeah, well, you better hope I miss you, or else you're Sora, Donald, Goofy!
Mulan was a very popular movie at the time KH2 came out, so its inclusion was a perfect and fun way to start the main Disney adventure, with Mulan's Limit being my personal favorite to use for any world-specific party member.
Take this! For China!
The first visit was admittedly a sleepy version of the movie, but I still had fun with it. And I'll give the second visit credit for trying to do something with Riku, basically something the entire middle section of the game ignored. In the big picture, I think the world contributed nicely to the overall adventure.
Oh, you're going the wrong way!
Halloween Town in KH2 feels really nerfed compared to its KH1 counterpart level design wise. Even by KH2 standards, the level design here is f***ing abysmal, as it's one mini room hallway from Halloween Town to Christmas Town. The reason the world is still fun is because of the characters, and more importantly, the aesthetics and music. The Halloween Town design and music still works, but the final mix version makes the Christmas Town section all the better, with the appropriate music and great new outfits for Sora and friends. It's a more fun version of Agrabah, but once again the story just has me ask what the hell were the writers smoking during certain worlds here. But the incorporation of the movie's Christmas element does make the world feel magical, but they again got great stuff out of another very creative Oogie Boogie boss battle.
Goodbye for now.
Space Paranoid still has a case for being the most unique Disney World inclusion to the series. At the time KH2 released, Tron was not a relevant franchise, so its inclusion in Kingdom Hearts was very random, based on the kind of movies they were selecting for the first game and second game. I had never even heard of Tron while playing KH2 for the first time. But this world was a standout, as far as the world's incorporation to the main story during the incredible Hollow Bastion second visit. I just wish 2 or 3 more Disney worlds in the game had this level of writing in terms of incorporation to the main story, because it was just beautifully harmonious. The world's major downfall for me is the lack of characters from the movie featured here, where you only get Tron, Sark, and the MCP. I mean, I guess it worked for the story they were telling, but none of the other several notable movie characters are featured at all here. But with Sark and the MCP, they were able to pull off one of the most unique but fun Disney boss fights in the whole series. Unlike the other returning KH1 Disney Worlds and KH2, Olympus Coliseum is the only one to get an upgrade level design wise, with the incorporation of the underworld. I've always been very impressed how much the world packs in its first visit, exploring the caves, escape from Hades, the Cerberus fight, training with Phil, the Demyx encounter, the Pete fight, and finally the Hydra boss battle. Pretty impressive. Add on top of that the fun tournament battles in the Underdrome this time, which were fun, although not as memorable as KH1's, but still good. Unfortunately, visually, it's one of the most boring worlds, as once you've seen one corner of the underworld, you've pretty much seen them all. But I very much appreciated how this time the world incorporated more characters from the movie, with Pegasus and of course Megara, and the nice inclusion of Auron from Final Fantasy. And of course, James Woods' Hades is always pure gold.
Oh, right. Hades, we gotta talk. Ah!
Pride Lands is essentially just a filler world with zero relevance to the main story. While not ideal, I just love gameplay as a lion, and it's a nice change in pace with the fun movement. I just wish they could have found a way to incorporate limits for Donald and Goofy, and especially drive forms. That would have been really nice to see in lion form. But I love playing through the Lion King story. I like that all the notable film locations were featured here, making the world feel complete in that sort of way, as well as having mostly the full roster of notable characters. And both major boss battles were epic, with Scar during the first visit being very nice, but the Ground Shaker during the second visit being just colossal. It was the game's only heartless boss battle that was a roadblock for me as a kid. Pretty massive and intimidating. Timeless River was part 2 of the 1-2 Disney Castle adventure. Even without combining it with Disney Castle, Timeless River is aesthetically wonderful, and its nod to old school black and white cartoons, in the settings, sound effects, and world guises for SDG. I like the areas the world has combining various old school cartoons, but of course I would have loved for the world to be even bigger, as it is on the smaller side. I like though that story-wise it feels different in structure to the typical KH Disney World, and it was a very fun second part in the quest to save Disney Castle. Hopefully one day they can do another world like this. Beast Castle had the kind of storytelling I desperately wish we could have seen more of in the other KH2 Disney Worlds. Having an Organization 13 member be active in both world visits and culminating in a boss battle, it makes you wonder, why did this world have this level of quality storytelling? The only thing I could surmise is if they did the movie story, that would have meant turning Beast into a human and losing him as a party member, while also having the castle revert to its cheerful white color, which I gotta imagine they just didn't want to put in that kind of effort. But this world story stood out as a major outlier from other Disney Worlds, which meant it was a major highlight. Both visits were great, and it had one of my favorite moments in the entire series, with Belle escaping Xaldin's clutches.
Good one, Belle.
Wow!
This place is...
Kinda different.
I love the inclusion of Pirates of the Caribbean in the Kingdom Hearts series, and it started with Port Royal in Kingdom Hearts 2. Significant for being the first live-action world in the series. For PS2 level graphics, I thought the world looked great in regards to the live-action character models and detailed settings. I didn't mind the contrast of Sora, Donald, and Goofy in this world, as it helps to exemplify the live-action aspect. It had your gotta-have-it areas from Curse of the Black Pearl, but gameplay-wise it was very cool, incorporating the lore of the first movie, with only being able to harm the undead pirates in the moonlight, and the Curse of the Medallions in the Grim Reaper boss fight. I love seeing the inclusion of the Pirates of the Caribbean characters. It's a shame they couldn't get any of the actual actors to reprise their roles. It was most notable, unfortunately, for Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
Twilight Town was a cute little town where I spent a lot of my video game childhood. I would have been one happy camper if every KH2 world could come close to being this world size. You got the pretty big main town area, the Sunset Seven Wonders area, all of the mansion, and technically Mysterious Tower when we're talking about KH2. You needed a world this big if you're going to spend a handful of hours as Roxas during the prologue. Now the fun is limited to some degree because of the early game nature where we spend most of the time in the world, which the lack of abilities doesn't make it the most fun compared to other KH2 combat segments. But this world served its narrative purpose beautifully, and it's been a world I've come to appreciate more and more as time has gone on. The world that never was your final world. I like the build up that it has on the world map. As the home of Organization 13, in terms of KH2 standards, it's pretty solid when it comes to size, with some very twisted name for its rooms. I mean, the Brink of Despair, holy shit. Right from the moment you enter, I think the world has great atmosphere, with the music and scenery of the Dark City, eventually leading to the castle. Eventually it becomes your typical Kingdom Hearts End-World scenario, with a boss battle gauntlet. When I was younger, Xigbar and Lucid gave me a decent amount of trouble, and thankfully the final mix version included the Roxas battle. It's pretty crazy that wasn't in the original version. This world just had some amazing cutscenes. It makes all the adventure, mystery, and storytelling you've gone through in the game so worth it. Get the amazing final boss scenario with Xemnas, and it led to my favorite ending of any Kingdom Hearts game. Hollow Bastion takes on a bit of a different role in the second game compared to KH1. Whereas in KH1 is your penultimate grand intimidating endgame scenario, in KH2 it has more of a cozy feel as Sora's hub base of operations. I've always wished there could have been a scenario where we saw the two versions of the world visually linked together, as they both feel very different and there's very few things that make them feel like the same world. Regardless, KH2's Hollow Bastion has a great feel of base of operations for Sora, with the Final Fantasy Restoration Committee being there, and just being a nice launching off point for the main trio's adventure. And there's always a nice reason to visit the world during the course of the story. But any KH2 worshipper like me knows the reason why this world is number one on this list, and that's based on the second, or technically third visit to the world during the game's midway point. While KH2's storytelling did have a lot to be desired, this section single-handedly saved it from disaster. The use of Tron, the story reveals, epic cutscenes, gameplay scenarios, all A+. It's my favorite roughly 3 hours of any KH game. Add in the fact that this world is home to two worlds in itself, in Pooh and Tron. It's got nice extra content with Sephiroth, the amazing Cavern of Remembrance, and you get my favorite world in my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. Quite the honor. Why or how any numbered Kingdom Hearts game could think they could get away with not having a playable Hollow Bastion is just beyond me.
How'd you like that?
And there you have it with the ranking of all the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2. While I obviously think some worlds are much better than others, all of them contribute in their own way to the great adventure and fun I've had playing this game for 20 years now. It made the summer of 2006 a really fun time for yours truly. So that'll do it for this Kingdom Hearts 2 World Ranking video. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching.